What is good, everybody? Nathan Lombardo here with Lambo Media, joined by yet another very, very special guest, MLB alum. He's doing a lot of stuff outside of baseball as well as with baseball, even after retiring. Used to be a coach as well as a player playing Major League Baseball for quite a few teams, actually. We'll get into that very soon. But Darnell, I want to start off with this first and foremost by thanking you for coming on. We've talked previous to this. We've connected. We kind of clicked right off the bat, but I want to start off with this. How have you and the family been doing during, this 2020 year? What's it looking like for you, as of now?
Well, thanks for having me, Lambo.
Of course.
Yeah, man, I've been checking you out. Keep up the good work. As far as COVID and the family is, it's been good, man.
Good.
And I say good. The fact that it was an opportunity to slow down. Like you had permission to slow down and not do anything. When has that ever happened? Has that happened in your
No.
short lifetime where they said, man, we don't want you to do anything?
Right.
Yeah. So it gave me an opportunity to, spend more time with my kids. It gave me an opportunity to, dig deeper into what I'm doing with SVA sport and perfect and hone my skills, learn more, read more. My mission, my intention going into this COVID and this pandemic was I want to come out on the other side of this better than when I went in.
Exactly.
Right? So there's some type of skill, some type of knowledge, something that's going to make me better moving forward. That was my intention. I feel like that's happened, and I'm excited to finish out this year strong and looking forward to 2021.
Yeah, and you mentioned SVA. I talked a little bit about that in the intro with what you're doing with that up to this point. We'll get into that a little bit later. But regarding the year of 2020, just, piggybacking on that, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it was very awful and heartbreaking for a lot of people here in 2020 because of everything that's going around with COVID and everything else going on. But for me, at least, it was kind of like you just mentioned, a time to just hone in and just catch up on all of my work, find new skills and kind of take advantage of, this time off, finding something new to do. Like I just started this while quarantine started and really kicked off. That's when I kind of started Lambo Media and this whole thing. So I think for some people, it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Could you kind of attest to that as far as, that goes? You obviously said you learned a lot of new things. What were a few of those things that you really focused on during quarantine other than the SVA?
I focused on putting my gas mask on first so that I could show up and be better for everyone around me. It sounds crazy and it's funny that you laugh because, yeah, as people, we think, there's a reason why they say when you get on the plane, they say put your gas mask on first before you help other people.
Right.
Okay. And so with that being said, we need to do the same things in our lives, right? We need to put our gas mask on first because we can't give somebody or anyone anything that we don't have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get these things first. And so it's a time for self-study. And that's what SVA is short for, is short for Satyaya, which means self-study in Sanskrit. SVA is oneself. And so it gave me time to do that, learn more about myself.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me time to, I met a lot of people. I connected with a lot of people that I haven't talked to in a long time. Thank goodness for Zoom. Thank goodness for FaceTime and iPhones and all that good stuff, man. Because without that, man, it would have been really, really lonely.
Right.
I think that's one of the biggest things. I think, especially coming from a sports background, and I think that's the biggest thing that I miss about not playing is just the camaraderie, being in the dugout, being in the locker room with my boys,
Mm-hmm.
talking shit, doing all that. That's the bus rides, As crazy as that sounds, yeah, the bus rides,
Yeah,
playing cards with my teammates,
the little
those are the things
things.
I miss. Yeah, those are the things I miss the most. And so, same thing with you know, us regular people. But I'm a regular person, you know. I'm not a player anymore. But no, it's we all thrive off of connection. And
Uh-huh.
we get this connection taken away, and they say, "Man, you can't go anywhere, sit in your house." Well, what do we do then? So it's important. It's really important that we find a way to connect with other people because they're, like they say, there's strength in numbers, iron sharpens iron, and it makes us feel good when you connect with people, right? When you hang out with your friends, when you connect with them, or you talk to someone that you haven't talked to in a long time, you feel good.
Mhm. Yeah, and I want to stay on that topic as far as connections go. You have the capability of building a lot of connections while in the MLB, given the fact that you played with a lot of different organizations. You played for the Orioles, the Twins, the Reds, the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Cubs as well, finishing off your playing career down in Chicago. Was there at any point in time during your playing career that you were like, "Oh my gosh, let me get situated with one organization. Let me find a home where I can hone in and just, really stay and focus on that one organization throughout the rest of my career?" Or were you kind of, in a way, glad that you had the capability to, move around in the MLB while you were playing and, build all of those new connections?
Yeah, great question. Yes and no. Similar to the kind of like the last question. Something, all these things happen, right? We have the pandemic, we have all these things. Same thing in my career, and understanding that these things, everything's happening for a reason. Everything's happening for me.
Right.
um you know Obviously I would have drawn up my career a lot different when I was 18 years old. Obviously I thought my career would be a lot different than it was. I think we all, when you sign, you're like, I'm going to play in the big leagues forever. And when you're playing baseball, you really feel like you're going to play forever. Like, you feel like it's never going to end. And it would have been nice to, and I say nice, I don't know, to play with one organization, but I think that's part of the best thing about my career, my journey, is that I got to see so many different places, different teams, meet so many different people that had a big impact in my life still to this day. So that's I look at that as a good thing, man. That's the best part actually about my career, is the great players that I was able to play alongside.
Yeah, and you mentioned the great players that you were able to play alongside. Those players include Dustin Pedroia, DP15, Big Poppy, and David Ortiz, as well as the captain, Derek Jeter. We'll start off with David Ortiz, Big Poppy. What made him so special? Was it his skill set, his mindset during the game? Was it just his, mindset in the game style? What was it about David Ortiz that really stuck out to you that made him so special?
Everything. Yeah, when you look at that type of talent, David, I tell people that, David Ortiz, Big Poppy, I know Big Poppy is, he's a superstar, man. He's a bona fide superstar. And when I say that, again, I play with a lot of really Hall of Fame players,
Right.
but David Ortiz is a superstar. And when I say by superstar, on and off the field, it lights up a room. And, the thing that really impressed me about Big Poppy is all the stuff that he does off the field. I know he only has to bring a bat and worry about a bat when he was playing, but still, he does a lot of stuff off the field
Yeah.
for a lot of people. It's really impressive. When you meet him, your teammate, he makes you feel like you've known each other, like you grew up together. And there's very few people that I've met that made me feel like that, man. And I'm gonna tell you three people off the top of my head, and you'll be surprised that, like, when you meet them, it's like, man, I've known this guy all my life. And
Right.
David Ortiz, one of them. Ernie Banks was another one. Yeah, oh Ernie.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, and Eddie Vedder,
Okay.
another one.
Okay.
Yeah, so those guys, they're just such humble people, a lot of humility, and they make you feel that connection when you meet them. So again, and those are superstars, man. There's stars and there's superstars.
Right.
And so, not only that, I think the stuff that people don't see about Big Poppy is he was a really hard worker, really worked really hard, studied the game, played and practiced with intention. You watch how he took his batting practice. It was always intention. Just you watch this guy that is known for hitting home runs, but you watch his batting practice, and the first couple rounds he's staying middle the other way. He's working on beating the shift, even though if you ask him, he never beat it. And then, the last couple rounds, and it's Big Poppy showtime.
Yeah.
Home runs.
Just let it go.
Yeah, it's feel good rounds. And I think I watch guys take batting practice nowadays, and it's basically a home run derby, man. There's not really any intention behind it. Yeah, and I think that's kind of we've gotten around away from, because obviously we all like hitting homers, right? Homers feel good when you hit them. No matter if it's BP or in the game.
Right.
And fans, what are they? They like seeing homers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Big Poppy, man. And there's a lot of things that I took away from being able to play alongside him and watch him and learn, and how he makes adjustments, dealing with adversity. And it says a lot for someone that to be able to play in Boston as long as he did.
Right.
Really impressive. Boston's a tough place to play, probably the toughest place to play.
Absolutely.
If you last that long in a city like that, man, it says a lot. Doing a lot of good things.
And while we're on the topic of superstars, I mentioned you played with Derek Jeter as well. He's called the captain for a reason. What could you say about Derek Jeter's leadership while playing with him? Was it as great as, his reputation was? What could you say about Derek Jeter and, his leadership in particular?
Derek Jeter and his leadership is by example. So when I say by example, I'll tell you a story. So he was a double header. Most teams, especially in the big leagues, most teams, you may take batting practice before the first game, and it's usually probably be inside. You won't even go outside. You'll take BP
Right.
inside, and you'll get ready. You play the games. Well, Jeet wanted to take batting practice before the first game outside, and then he wanted to take batting practice again for the second game outside. And guess what? If Jeet wants to do it, everyone else is going to be doing it
Right,
too.
right.
And it's that also amazed me, because again, a lot of superstars on the Yankees, but then there's Derek Jeter, the captain.
Mm-hmm.
If Derek Jeter's doing something, everyone else is going to be doing it. I remember when I first got over there, by this time they had the mesh jerseys, the mesh, and they're lighter. I sweat a lot, so the other jersey, man, the old school jersey, sweating that, the thing's feels like it weighs 50 pounds on it.
Right.
So I get over there. This is coming from the Red Sox, and I'm asking, what can I get a mesh jersey? It's middle of summer. Like, no, we don't have those. Jeter don't like those. Regular ones, the old school ones. I'm like, all right, Jeter do it, I'm doing it. But those things are. It's one thing to, you feel like you have to do something. Oh, this guy's doing it, so I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, he makes you feel like you want to do that, man. Because again, when you have your best player and he plays the game the way he does, hard every day, consistent. When I say consistent, run the same way to first base, 20 years in the league, runs the same way to first base, just like they teach you in Little League.
Yeah.
Run, hit the front of the bag, turn to the right, check to see if there's an overthrow.
Mm-hmm.
It's another lost start. Do you see that in big leagues? Very rarely.
Right.
You know, you watch Mookie Betts, you watch Mike Trout. He's another great base runner.
Mm-hmm.
Man, those little things, those are things that add up to the big things.
Right.
And success leaves clues, right? These guys are great because of these things, these little things, this little discipline, all the things that they do that takes no talent. A lot of those things that a lot of us, you know, you don't think about. They do.
Mm-hmm.
And they master those things. They master those fundamentals, and those are the things that make them more consistent. Those are the things that make them great players. You think about Jeter, he walked to the plate same way all the time, every time. You know, didn't matter if he's hitting 130 or 350.
Right.
Same way. Come around the back of the circle, look in the other dugout, tip his cap to the manager, tap his cleat, boom, 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 timeout. Now I go. Every time.
Yeah.
Every time. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy.
And yeah, and as you're talking about 20 years of doing these things, and there's some things that are habits, and I think what they talk about, who's the quote, where when you habits repeated time is creates excellence. I think it's Aristotle, but that's what those guys are, man. They've created these good habits. So we're creating habits either way. Either we're doing it consciously or subconsciously. And those guys have made a choice to consciously create these habits that all, you know, that are literally coaches tell us, and it goes in one ear and out the other. And then, you know, maybe you sign a huge contract and you just stop doing those things. I don't know.
Right.
A lot of things happen. A lot of
Yeah.
things are going on. You know, you get pissed off. You popped out on the ball you think you should have crushed.
Mm-hmm.
You roll over something, but those guys have created the habit to where there's no switch. There's only one switch.
Right.
On and off. There's no in between.
Yeah. And Darnell, you obviously experienced the playing side of things. I'm just spectating it, obviously. And I personally believe, you know, at that level, if you look at any player, obviously, if they're making it to the minor leagues, if they're getting drafted, signing as a free agent, and then eventually, you know, making it to the show, they all have, you know, the talent to be there. They all have, you know, the capability of performing at a very high level, at that level in the MLB, but it's all about consistency and mental health. And personally, I think when you're at that level, at some points in time, the mental side of things can be just as important, if not more important, than the skill set side of things, especially in minor league baseball, because that process is, like a lot of people say, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is very mentally tough, and tough to get through and tough to make it to the show, which is why not a lot of people do it. At what point in time in your career, was there a particular moment in your career where you recognized that, you know, the mental side of things was as important or even more important than the skill set side of things?
Yeah, great question, Lambo. You know, I didn't learn this stuff really till after I got done playing, unfortunately. You know, no, I take that back. So I did, but I didn't know I did it, you know, and when I say that, I think it was about around 04, 05, 04 maybe. You know, I started working out this place, Athletes Performance here, Mark Verstegen. I had a trainer, Luke Richardson. I remember this is when they first moved to Arizona. I was working out there, and then that's when they really taught me how to take care of my body in season, out of season. Taught me about nutrition, sleep, you know, things that I had no idea about. You know, things that you learn that this is what being a professional means.
Right.
When you start focusing on these things, just not about talent and playing the game. It's, you know, what are you doing when you're not playing the game to prepare yourself to be ready for the next game?
Hmm.
I know I read something that said Russell Wilson spends $1 million a year on his
Body.
yeah,
Yeah.
restoration, $1 million. So make sure he's ready to go. That's how important it is to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was working out with this trainer, and we we almost literally got in fights a couple times in there. Why did we almost get in fights? Because he pushed me out of my comfort zone, right? Because I was always used to being the best at everything,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So, it's like the gift and the curse. When the best, it's tough to get better, right? It's tough to understand that you can get better. Like,
Hmm.
why? I hit 606 as a senior. Okay, so again, I hit 606 as a senior. Then you go into pro ball and you start making a lot of outs,
Hmm.
right? You're getting 500 plus at bats. Um, you start going through all this failure. How do you know how to deal with that if you've never done it before?
Right.
Yeah, you don't, right? So um, I'm gonna take this back to this. So when I went through these workouts and I worked out so hard, I pushed myself physically and mentally, and it was more mental than physical.
Yeah.
When I don't know if you know what a versa climber is. Then you get on, and it's like climbing. You take steps, and you move
Okay.
your
Yeah.
arms
I've
and feet.
I've
It's
seen
called a
those. Yeah.
versa climber.
Right.
Again, it takes no talent to move this machine, but we push it to a point where, man, there's people I've seen people just walk out and leave. I brought my
Right.
brother one time. He'd bounce. I'm never coming back again. But that's the mental training.
Yeah.
It's even like wall sitting, and we're gonna get to that point where your mind's gonna be saying, "Man, this sucks. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this?" And a lot of people, that's the time they quit. But when you have a trainer and he's talking shit to you and you can't quit, you pissed off. But I
Right.
tell you what, after you do it, you feel good. It gives you confidence. You feel empowered. It's the first time I started getting in the cold plunge. I'll never forget. I hate it. Like, all right, we got to get in the cold plunge. And you're getting in this 32-degree ice cold bath.
Right.
Um, as you know, brothers don't like that, man. We don't like that cold. We don't do that cold. But it's another thing, like making me do this. Guys challenging me. We feel challenged, like, okay, like I got to meet the challenge.
Right.
So I'm pissed off. I wouldn't want to do it. But after I got done doing it, I felt good. Not only the health benefits, physical benefits, but it's the mental benefits, man, because our minds are going to give up before our bodies.
Hmm.
They're going to be the first thing that gives up.
Right.
Right? If we don't have physical stress in our body, our minds create mental stress. So if we learn to fight through that urge when our mind said, "Man, this sucks. We can't do this. I'm tired. I hurt." If we can learn to push ourselves through that, there's much more beyond that, man. And that's the part where it's like the breaking point, man. That's where just some people give up and some people keep going, and that's the separator. And that's mental. That's not physical.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of what differentiates who makes it through the minor league process and who doesn't. So I want to talk to you a little bit about your personal minor league experience and the mental side of things in particular. Were there a few moments in your minor league career that really stick out to you as far as, mental struggles go?
All of it. The minor leagues are really tough, man.
Yeah.
It's really, really tough to play in the minor leagues. I'm not gonna lie. I feel it's easier to play in the big leagues than it is to play in the minor leagues.
Okay.
Okay, for so many reasons.
Yeah.
But what's even tougher about playing in the minor leagues is after you played in the big leagues
Hmm.
and you see like that, the show, they call it the show for a reason. So it's even tougher
Yeah.
when you get a taste of the show to go back to the minor leagues and get yourself up for those games. And I think that was the biggest challenge for me, man. It's just, getting getting exposed to the big leagues and being able to go back down to the minor leagues. And probably my number one challenge was, and it was like the first time I ever felt peer pressure, right? I came into baseball at the time of the steroid era, right? It was just what it was. This was the time that I was playing. And so when you're seeing guys pass you by, and like, I'm better than this guy,
Right.
but they're passing you by, and
Tough.
you just keep getting passed by. Yeah, it's really tough, right? It's real tough. And so there's a time where I broke down. I tried juice, and I juiced for like 2 weeks, man. Just crazy. And I was like, man, I see this what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Because physically, I was a specimen before. Just like, there wasn't many things that I couldn't do physically, man. And I don't say this to impress people. I'd say it just to press upon. Like, I played football. I played all these sports, man. I was the top prospect in all these sports. And then you go into pro ball, you're a first rounder. You're expected to do well. I'm out of high school. I'm still developing. So you have this pressure. You're a first round. They give you all this money. You got to do well. Then you see all these other guys passing you up, and you're like, where does that know? Like, I play better than this guy.
Right.
So that was a really turning point for me, man. And I'm glad that, like, from those like 2 weeks that I did that and I got caught for this, it was the best thing that ever happened. Because I say that because it's taught me another really, really important lesson, and that is there's no shortcuts, right?
Yeah.
We all want the fast food results.
Yeah.
We
Right.
tell people it's not FedEx. This doesn't happen overnight, but we want that. We want it overnight. We want it now. But there's no substitute for hard work.
Mm-hmm.
No substitute. Doesn't matter what you're doing. And there's no secret to these things. If you practice, you get better. And so I was able to learn that. And not only the thing that I'm most proud of about my career is, so this happened, man. So you get these labels in baseball really quick. They're quick to put a label on you.
Mm-hmm.
And so people don't understand. So I had to work even harder. I had to put together a bunch of good years just to get another opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that, because some people don't get another opportunity. But shoot, I had to above and beyond to get that second chance.
Right.
And understand, and it just reaffirmed for me that, yeah, hard work pays off. Because I put in, mad work during the season, off season, and then to be able to play in, Fenway, Yankee Stadium, Chicago, Wrigley Field to end my career, man. That was the topper. That was like, man, you start to get rewarded for this work that you put in. And that's why people, they wonder, like, man, I played mad. Like, I was mad. You know what I'm saying? I was mad. And that's what worked for me. I had to play with a chip on my shoulder. I had something to prove every time I stepped on the field. And then when I knew it was time to shut it down, when I didn't have that chip anymore, man.
Okay.
It was, you know what it is? When you kind of lose that will to prepare, the games are fun. Do that all day.
Right.
I think that's kind of, I was thinking about that earlier. It's hurting kids today. They play too many games.
Mm-hmm.
They don't practice enough. They need to practice more. And we didn't play that many games, so we practice. Now they play a bunch of games and they don't practice that much. But you need to fall in love with the process of getting better.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's like doing the media, man. You got to love this stuff. You got to love practicing. You got to love talking to someone. That's how you get better. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're not going to get better reading a book. You're going to get a little better, but the best way to get better is just by doing it.
Yeah. Absolutely, Darnell. And every single guy I've talked to who has experienced this has said it's been harder to stay in the MLB rather than making it to the MLB. Could you attest to that, or would you say it was the other way around and it was harder to get to the show rather than staying in the show?
I mean, for me in particular, it was both. You
Both
know,
are tough.
yeah, just because again, once you get these labels, man, you got to really battle
Yeah,
to get through that. But yeah, it is. It's a lot tougher to stay in the big leagues. Um, you know, there's more technology, there's more scouts, there's more, you know, guys know your tendencies, and if you don't make an adjustments, you're not going to be there long. And back when I was playing back then, like they didn't develop in the major leagues. That wasn't developing. If you weren't fundamentally sound in like the areas that you should be, you go back to the minor leagues.
right.
They're not gonna have you there to work on getting better there.
Right. And I want to wrap it up by talking about SVA and SVA baseball mindset, sport, all of the SVA stuff. You're one of the founders of that company, of course, doing a lot of stuff with that up to this point. What kind of led you to making that decision and starting SVA? And, when did you start that whole thing up?
Yeah. So you know, when I retired, I was doing some of the yoga and meditation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on my own, you know, to just dealing with stuff in my personal life. So
Right.
check this out. And I knew, you know, every time I went and did yoga, I felt good when I left, and it just kept me coming back. And um, so then I started doing working with the Cubs, and then we started developing this mental skills program.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go do this. Excuse me, I do this yoga teacher training. So I started getting deeper in my practice. And the deeper I got in my practice, I started understanding, like, man, this shit relates to baseball.
Yeah.
You know, like we're practicing being in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
practicing being present, being in the zone, being in the flow state, um, practicing making adjustments, right? So that's what this yoga is. The yoga is the little subtle adjustments inside of the pose, and basically a breathing exercise. It's breathing exercise, and then the little subtle adjustments to fill in our body. And so that what that does is translate to baseball, anything we do, we're able to make adjustments. So we already know that, like, baseball is a game of adjustments. We know that life is a game of adjustments. That's all it is. Like, the
Right.
people that do well, that consist, they make adjustments. Big leagues, the only difference between the big leagues and the minor leagues, guys make adjustments faster. So, you know, I started to understand how this translated to that, and you know, how I could, you know, so I really got passionate about this. I was hyped. I was excited to pass this along to other people. Um, One day in our teacher training, our class, used to have these like words of the day, and our yoga teacher, John Salisbury, he's like, okay, the word for the day is sadhyaya, and it's spelled Svadhyaya. It looks way different than it sounds, but he was like, okay, I want you guys to repeat this 3 times. And it always just that yaya always stuck out in my head. Sadhyaya, sadhyaya. And then we go to, start this company. It's the first thing that came to my mind, sadhyaya. Yeah, self-study. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. And, so we started sadhyaya. And sadhyaya is similar to like Bruce Lee, man. Bruce Lee, he said, you are your own opponent. Right. So we spend so much time focusing on our opposition, but we need to focus on mastering ourselves, mastering our own minds, self-study. And
Right.
it basically, it's self-study to contemplate, right? That's what meditation is. So lastly, we believe that the greatest gift that you can give anyone is your presence, including yourself. Right. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether we're doing this interview or you are at school, you're playing basketball, but whatever you're doing, you're going to do it better when you're in the present moment.
Right.
Right. And so what is the best way to be in the present moment is to become aware of your breath, become aware of your body. They're always in the present moment. And so we can customize this, right? This practice. We can practice this, we can do this practice doing anything. And that's what I like to do. I like to teach people, customize this practice and make it practical for them to apply to their lives. Because that's the key to that we just talked about is the practice. Just like in yoga, we always want to do these tough poses. First, we need to just master the basics. And I remember my teacher told me one day, each day, just pick out one thing to focus on that day. And, that's another thing that stuck with me. Like, when we focus on one thing, we're really good.
Yeah.
Really, really good. But guess what? Our minds are trained to focus on what?
The bigger picture in the long term.
Everything. Our minds want to focus on everything.
Yeah.
As soon as we get up, we're like, man, what do I got to do? What I do meeting? I got to go here. What happened yesterday? Our minds focus on everything. But we can train our minds to focus on one thing, what they call single point of focus. And when we do that, we're really, really good. Whether it's focusing on the one pitch, focusing on that baseball coming to you, whether you're focusing on that breath, inhaling through your nose, out of your nose, whatever it is, when we have that single point of focus, and what they call in sports is being in the zone, you're a beast when you do that. So that's the good news, man, is that you can actually train, develop, becoming a beast.
Yeah, absolutely, Darnell. And, this is the most I've ever connected, with anyone that I've interviewed as far as the mental side of things. And I really enjoyed our time as far as that goes. I'd love to connect with you more as we spoke earlier about doing. We obviously will. But I really appreciate you making this interview happen, Darnell. Congrats on all of your accolades with SVA, your playing career, your coaching career with the Cubs. Congrats on all of that thus far. And there's definitely more accolades to come. And, we'll for sure stay in touch.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I look forward to following your trajectory, man.